Hello friends, this video is different than my previous videos. This has a different subject of the planet which is very important, that is Jupiter. And as you know, Jupiter is the biggest planet of our solar system, and Jupiter is given the status of a teacher or guru. Literally, guru means which is vast, big and knowledgeable. In qualities, Jupiter represents abundance and the vastness. The result of this planet are generally auspicious and the benefic. Also, Jupiter gives lot of positivity in the life of person, including, we can say, prosperity, wealth, education, children, fame, and marital bliss, and so on. You can count on. As we all know that Jupiter takes almost 1 year to cross a particular sign, and almost it will take 12 years to cross or transit through all the houses. Jupiter is a unique planet that rectifies the problem of any house if it has, due to car or KRUSHNA or some other reason. But sometimes Jupiter is unable to rectify the problem. So I will give an example here how Jupiter cannot rectify problem of any house or a particular house, I will say. So we have to take another chart for that. So this is chart of Leo Lagna, and Sun is in 4th house along with the Mars. Now 5th house is Sagittarius, and the Lord of Sagittarius, as we know, is Jupiter, so that is Kark for the 10th house. So the quality of the 10th house is controlled by the 5th house. The Lord is Jupiter, and the Jupiter in the Navamsa sign is situated in Aries sign. So KRUSHNA is Mars or Manga, that is situated in the 4th house, and this Mars is respecting 10th house. So the 10th house results can be delayed, decreased, or denied. Here in this case we can say that the person, if he is doing the business, must be in partnership, and he might not be having signing authority or has no authority while doing the business. This can be applied to male as well as in the female chart. Here the case is little different because the KRUSHNA of the 10th house is aspecting house B, that is 10th house, and Jupiter during the transit from the 10th house might be unable to rectify the problem due to the site of the KRUSHNA. Next, the 10th house has another problem which we will check. Mool Karak of the 10th house is Moon, and the Moon is in Sagittarius Namash. The Lord of Sagittarius is Jupiter, so we can say that Jupiter is Mool Karak Karkansh for the 10th house. And Jupiter is a house 6th house, and the aspect of Jupiter is still there on the 10th house. So the 10th house has two major problems, that is Karkansh, which is Mars or Mangal aspecting directly from the 7th side to the 10th house, and the Mool Karkansh, which is Jupiter, is also aspecting house B or the 10th house. Here we will mention that Jupiter is also Karak for the 10th house, and the Sagittarius sign is the same, that is in Navamsha of the Moon. So we will say that Jupiter site is something which is not beneficial for the 10th house also. Now Jupiter also has to rectify the problem of the 10th house, but Jupiter cannot rectify the problem. In fact, this is because Karkansh directly aspecting house B, so no matter how many transits this Jupiter make through the 10th house or the transit over the 10th lord Venus, this cannot rectify 10th house problems. So this definitely will cause delay due to Jupiter also for the 10th house matter. You can check it here, the aspect from the Karkansh on the house and the Mool Karkansh aspecting, that is given in the worksheet also. If you are not knowing, you can check it directly here. So Jupiter generally transit through the sign or its lord to rectify the problem. So here we will be discussing further that the Karak and the Karkansh is aspecting the 10th house. So two major problems as we discuss. Now Jupiter can rectify or cannot rectify 10th house problem for the aspect of Karkansh and the Mool Karkansh. But before that, how a house problem is rectified by the aspect, or that is conventional word we use is hit of the Jupiter. So here the Jupiter is in the 6th house. So first hit that the Jupiter is directly on the 10th house. This is first hit, and then second hit is when the Jupiter will be transiting through the 10th house. Third hits and when it will be in the second house, and the fourth it will be when transit through the fourth house. So again, the lord of 10th house is Venus, and in a similar fashion Jupiter can aspect Venus 4 times during the transit till the 6th house. So overall Jupiter gets 8 chances during 12 years to rectify problems of a particular house. This is the simple explanation, I will say, as we have studied in the past or during our case study. But one more thing is here, that is the Karkansh is directly aspecting 10th house, and the Karak is Guru, and the Karkansh is Mangal. So here the rectification by the Guru is not possible, no matter how many transit this made from all the houses or the hits this made for the 10th house. The rectification process cannot be possible for the 10th house. I simply select this particular chart just to explain, because the Karkansh is aspecting house B, so the rectification of the house B by the Jupiter is not possible. Jupiter always give blessing and rectify the problems due to Karak and the Karkansh, or any other reason that can be to moderate the delay. Further, how we can get an idea that Jupiter can rectify the rest of the problems except the Karkansh or the Mool Karkansh aspect? That is there is another method, and here I am going to explain in a simple way. Jupiter blessings are always there, so the rectification process always continue for these problems. If we can check the worksheet, here is the Jupiter, and the Jupiter points are given in the worksheet. The MF factor of the Jupiter is 0.8 because Jupiter is situated in Capricorn sign. As we all know that MF factor is very important for the calculation of Jupiter delay. So this has 0.8 MF factor, so the delay can be decreased by the Jupiter, and as the MF factor is 0.8 with the Jupiter, so this will cause around 15% of the total Saturn delay. But we are not talking about here the delay process, but the rectification process. So the 10 points in the second house means second house has less blessings, or more strength is needed for the Jupiter to rectify the problems for the 10th house. No doubt there is no aspect of Karkansh or the Mool Karkansh, but then also this has less than 12 points, so the Jupiter rectification is possible, but delay factor will be there. Let's take another chart where the Lagna is Virgo and the 5th house is of the Capricorn and the Jupiter is also there. Now Saturn is the lord of the 5th house, so Saturn is in the Cancer Navamsha and the moon is again in the 4th house, directly aspecting 10th house, which is house B as we taken in the previous chart. So here what will Guru do, or the Jupiter can do, is this will transit over the 10th house, because 10th house has only aspect of the Karkansh, so only one big problem is there. So Jupiter can rectify the problem here, as we can check in the worksheet also. No doubt the MF factor is again 0.8, but we can have a chance to see the problem of the 10th house can be rectified or not by the Jupiter. So here we go to the worksheet first, and the worksheet again the MF factor is 0.8, so few of the houses have less than 12 points, like first house, 4th, 5th, 6th and the 9th house. So Jupiter is weak for the timing in these houses, but for the 10th house Jupiter has 21 points, so Jupiter has enough points for the timing also. So we can say this is this can bless this house and rectify the problems related to the 10th house. Where the Jupiter is weak, like first house, 4th house, 5th house, 6th house and 9th house, the rectification process will be delayed, and may be possible that the problems could not be rectified by the Jupiter. This is only because Jupiter has less blessing or the less power for the timing to rectify the problems for these houses. Otherwise, for the rest of the houses where the points are 12 or more than 12 points, Jupiter can easily rectify the problems and the delay might be not there by the Jupiter. So more or less points in the worksheet of the Jupiter tells us about its capacity to rectify the problems of a particular house, like here in the 4th house, 5th house, 6th house and the 9th house, and the first house might be having multiple problems, so the Jupiter needs to transit through these houses and the things might be delayed due to that. In other words, we can say for these houses like 1st, 4th, 9th, the Jupiter has less blessing and the person has to work hard. Things might be delayed, but definitely the timing will happen. If we compare the events for any two houses where one house has less than 12 points and the other house has more points. So here there will be a difference, that timing will happen, but the one house will be having a delayed period, whereas the other house will be having a smooth event. Let's take example of the 10th house. So 21 points. So 21 points means the rectification by the Jupiter will be done easily, unlike 9th house, and the event will happen with the blessing itself by the Jupiter easily. No doubt the Mool Karak or Karkansh is aspecting, but rectification will be done easily. This idea we can apply for the timing versus Jupiter blessings, or the rectification we can say, in other words. This is only for timing, but we have to check the quality wise also. You can check the basic points from the worksheet, which is not visible here, and in the similar pattern you can study the more or less points of the Jupiter, so that you can get an idea quality wise also of any rectification versus timing. Again I will say, you can say anything, this is blessing or rectification power or anything, but from here you can get an idea how much delay or how much percentage of delay by the Jupiter can happen for a particular house, like 4th house. I am talking about entire house, not in a particular Jupiter Antardasha, but for the 4th house. Similarly, in the 5th house, for the whole 5th house, the Jupiter is weak, so less power or the less blessing for the 5th house. For the 5th house I mean to say. No doubt for the timing the points will be there, but the problems for the 5th house will exist as per Jupiter blessings. The laws are there in Guruji's book, but this is how we can apply the basic laws right from 1 to 10, just to get an idea for a particular result. In the Kalpurusha chart, Jupiter is directly connected to 7th house as well as for the 10th house, because 9th house and the 12th house are root karak house for the 7th and the 10th house respectively. Both the houses are very important, because 7th house is for dincharya and marriage, and 10th house is for karma. So Jupiter status is very important in both the houses. Like if the Karkansh or the Mool Karkansh are aspecting these houses or one of these houses, the transit of Jupiter through these houses or over the Lord will be a little difficult for the Jupiter to rectify the problems related to these two houses. We going for the 9th house, say the 9th house is for sanskar, and if Karak and the Mool Karak are aspecting 9th house, so the sanskar you can expect are not good for a person. Like here you can see aspecting Karkansh and the Mool Karkansh here, and you can understand well how the nature will be of this person. And suppose going further, if one of the ansha like Karkansh or the Mool Karkansh in the 6th house, then it will be a difficult situation, and a person might be having a aggressive nature. In this case, the person could be become a dacoit or a thief or a merciless person, beside the bad sanskars. In such situation, you can check the status of Jupiter for each house. Say here, this is a different example. For the 4th house, this has 11 points, and for the 8th house, this has 10 points, and for the 12th, this has 9 points. So for these 3 houses, it will be difficult for the Jupiter to easily rectify the problems of 4th house, 8th house, and 12th house. This I am talking about the timing. For the timing, I am saying this rectification process. Whereas for the quality, you can go to the basic points and you can check the Jupiter for the 4th, 5th, and the 8th, as well as the 12th house. And quality wise, this rectification is difficult for the Jupiter, or less blessing for these houses, and Jupiter has to give more hits for these houses to rectify the problem. It depends how much the problem is, the quality and the quantum of the problem, and accordingly the Jupiter will rectify the problem. Hope you understand.